What is up, Honey Badger Nation? This is John Kitchens, and welcome to episode 184 of Expert Mentors Live. Holy smokes. Absolute honor. I get to rock and roll and hang out with you guys today, running solo, and excited to dive into the topic that we have set up for everybody. And that topic is around, leadership and leadership lessons. And I've got a deck kind of thrown together that I want to I'm going to share with all of you. And had the honor of jumping in with Kyle Whistle and the Fast Forward Movement on Monday of this week, and just kind of made me reflect back and looking. We're at episode 184, and really how Expert Mentors all started. And it was really the brainchild of Kyle and Daniel Beer and Kinder and Stasik and myself around being able to tap into the horsepower of our Honey Badger Nation community. And so I've had the honor to lead, these conversations of deep dive into just these incredible individuals and humans and leaders that we have within our organization. And our goal with these episodes is just to pour back into you all, and come from a place of contribution and add value. And that's really what today is about, as well as, being able to give you guys some lessons, some things to think about to improve who you are as a leader, improve who you are as a human, and, really on the path to transformation, not only for yourself, but for those around you. So I'm going to dive in, and like I said, threw together presentation, and I'm going to do this, and I know it's not going to let me see you guys. So if you've got any comments, questions, things as we're kind of rolling through, throw it into the comments, and we'll definitely dive in at the end. And like I said, my goal for today's conversation, today's episode is just to give you a new level of awareness, right? Because without awareness, we don't have a choice to make change. And most of the time we're not problem aware. And that's why the importance of having a circle and having people around you to have tight feedback loops, to be able to shine the light on our blind spots, because that's really what it is, right? We all have blind spots, and we're running so fast that we don't tend to see the things that we don't see. And, as a great leader, we want to develop the capabilities of being able to, see, the tree, but also be able to see the forest. So we've got to be able to zoom in and zoom out. And it takes feedback loops. It takes help to reveal what we don't see, because what we reveal, we can heal. And no matter what, if your business is not where you want it to be, it's because your leadership capabilities are not where they want to be. I really believe that, the size of your business is elastic to the size of your leadership capabilities. And really where it all starts with is it starts with ourselves. And so that's the goal. That's the intent. If not, we'll get you strutting into the octagon, like Connor, which hopefully we'll get to see him soon, strutting in and no matter what. I don't know why. I just think that slide's funny. All right. So give you guys a little context. If you haven't been tuning in to our Expert Mentor series, or have had an opportunity to connect with me, man, I'm a coach's kid. It's in kind of my DNA, how I grew up, and really who I am at my core. And it's just something to be said when a kid that's just exposed to that environment and get the exposure of being able to see, the impact of what a human in a coaching environment can have on another human, and being able to experience that, and then being able to be in that role myself, and then obviously transforming into the leadership capabilities, and then into coaching over the last decade has been able to just be a complete honor. And this is really where it starts. Just believe that for your business to be better, you have to be better. I believe that we cannot lead and coach another human unless we can lead and coach ourselves first. I believe that there's just a code and sequence to unlocking anything in our lives. And I believe everyone on the planet needs a great coach in their life. And, with a great coach in your life, I promise you, your life will be better. For me, this is it, right? My contribution is that I love to inspire and challenge people to think bigger. I believe that one of the biggest constraints that we all have in our lives is the constraint around our thinking. And so that the fulfillment that I'm given, the impact is the transformation of business and transformation of lives. It's why I do what I do day in and day out, and I love it. It's fun. And, there's never any external motivation to want to come from a place and just add value. College dropout, did my college time in California, working at a semi-private golf resort where my aunt got me in, and really had an incredible boss who took me under her wing and really taught me all dynamics of business. And got sucked back into Oklahoma with a high school buddy, and just serial entrepreneur to be able to take ideas to execution, to profitability, to sold. So it was cool. In about a 3.5-4 year stint, we went through 4 different ideas into businesses, and landed us owning a bar, which was one of it was a green light. I'll put it that way. If you know Matthew McConaughey's book Green Light, because that led me to Kinder in 2004, and over the past 18 years, just been able to be a part of growing and scaling 2 separate 7-figure real estate businesses, over 4,300 total transactions. Personally, I've had the opportunity to work with thousands of real estate professionals, a little over 13,500 one-on-one sessions. So you learn a lot. I share that because of a unique perspective, that being able to have 4,300 transactions in two different markets, as well as that many one-on-one coaching conversations. There's not a situation or something that I have not encountered, either personally or being able to coach somebody through. And just have had an absolute honor to work with some of the best in the industry, and hundreds and hundreds of others. So here's what's on the agenda. Here's what we're going to dive in through today, in today's conversation. What is leadership? There's different styles and elements, why we have to focus on leading ourselves, and then give you a concept, mental model of the plus, minus, and equal. And after the presentation, I want you guys to hang in. I've got an assessment that we've put together that is really eye-opening to see where you have a deficit or a surplus in your business, kind of around our accelerated growth model, and 8 key factors that we've identified to see kind of what's either holding you back or where you need to pour more into or give something some more attention. So hang in at the end of this conversation. I'll give you guys the URL to go take that assessment. And I think it'll be extremely eye-opening and very valuable tool for you moving into the rest of this year. Jim Collins, in his all of his work, and I get asked, hey, what's one of the best leadership books? I said, well, one of my top book recommendations, if you're looking to build anything worth building, is his book Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0. The original was written in the early 90s, and he revisited the book because there were some things missing, and he released it at the end of 2020, BE 2.0, and he layered in one of the most critical things that Steve Jobs gave him feedback that was missing, and it was around people. So in the original book, the number 1 chapter is leadership. In the updated version, it's the second chapter. First chapter is people. Second chapter is leadership. And I believe this. It's the barrier to greatness in many companies is just ineffective or no leadership at all. So what is leadership? So leadership is both a research area and a practical skill regarding the ability of an individual or organization to lead or guide other individuals, teams, or entire organizations. The word that is bold that I want to draw your attention to is skill. And remember, anything that is a skill can be developed, right? We can develop a capability. We can develop these skills. And so when people, tend to say, man, I'm not a great leader, two things that come to mind. One, you haven't made the commitment to develop the skills to become a good leader, to become a great leader. And you'll never accomplish anything the more that we keep saying, I'm not good at this. This is not, who, I suck at this. I'm terrible at this. Well, no shit. You will always suck at it because what we say, we hear, and what we hear slips into our subconscious. And from the subconscious, then that turns into kind of the story that's playing in our head, the contamination, the limiting beliefs, the things that we latch onto. And so don't ever allow yourself to throw out the words. Don't ever vocalize something you suck at. And remember, most of the time, everything is a skill. We just haven't committed the time to improve and develop that skill set. When you look at the functions of leadership and you look at breaking down an organization, you have functions, you have roles, you have key metrics they're responsible for to drive results in whatever that is. Well, leadership as a function, and for most of you guys listening in, if you're leading an organization, you're leading a company, your number one responsibility as a leader is to have a clear and shared vision for the company. Okay. You gotta have it, but you gotta also be able to articulate it. And then you gotta be able to get commitment to. And if you're not going to get anybody else to commit to it unless you can commit to it first. And this is just kind of the requirement of leadership. No matter your style, you have to perform this function. And so we get into, okay, well, what are the styles of leadership? Everybody's leadership style is different. So when you look at the 4 different types, the first one is selfish, right? It's a selfish leader. This is for me, right? I'm only doing this because of me. I'm winning because of me. Nobody else, just me. I'm being selfish. Now, that doesn't mean it's good, bad, wrong, indifferent. It's just a style, right? It's just a leadership style. Certain people respond to it, certain people don't. So leadership, selfish leadership. 2 is barter, right? You can also go back to selfish as from Adam Grant's work, give and take, right? You got givers and takers. Selfish leaders are takers. They just take. That's all they do. And then you get into the barter leadership. I'll do this for you as long as you do this for me. And we know those type of people. We encounter them probably on a daily basis. And actually, we've probably been guilty of this ourselves. Hey, yeah, I'd love to do that, but I need you to do this for me in return. Okay. So there's a little bit of barter going on. Like I said, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And that kind of falls in the middle of the give and take. And then the third style is selfless. Man, these are just givers. They just give, and pour into people. And that's where the giver side of things come from, right? Really selfless in their leadership style, their leadership capabilities. And then the fourth is what we all should be striving towards. And that's just coming from a servant's heart, a servant leadership style. This is hard. This one takes work. This one takes effort. This one takes an intention to over time to be able to really develop this leadership style. Now, if you go back through all four, we've all been there. And there's probably throughout this week, this month, maybe even today, we might tap into each of those different styles. What I want you to really pay attention to and focus on is, where do you live most of the time? Where do you live most of the time? And hopefully we live in 3 and 4 most of the time. Okay. There's times to get in and barter, and there's times to be a little selfish. But where do we live? Where do we spend a majority of our time? When you start to kind of unpack, and now, hey, we understand the primary function, we know our styles. What are the different elements? And I love this. I got this from a conversation that Michael Lombardi was on, the Shane Parrish, Farnham Street Knowledge Project is the name of his podcast. And he was on the podcast, and I was just riveted to listen. And maybe I was, because I was focused on leadership development, and the fundamentals and the styles and in the framework and the structure. And so I got into this conversation, and it was just fascinating. And Lombardi is a former NFL executive. This picture is with the Browns, but he ended up going in and with the Patriots, has several Super Bowl rings. And he really broke down these key elements. And he said the first element is the management of the plan. And the management of the plan is really about the vision. And the vision is the forcing function for change. Remember, it's not what the vision is, it's what the vision does. It energizes you, it energizes your talent. And vision is broken down into 3 things. It's what are your values? What do you stand for? What is your purpose? And what is that big, hairy, audacious goal that we're in pursuit of? What is that direction we're moving towards? And when you nail these 3, it energizes you, and it energizes the talent that you're surrounding yourself with. Back to Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0, I told you chapter 1 was people, chapter 2 is leadership, chapter 3 is vision. And it's so important to have that vision, not only for your business, but for your life. It energizes you. It energizes the people around you. So it's really having that vision in that plan. The second part then is management, being able to manage and communicate that plan. So communicate the vision, right? It's one thing to have a vision, but can you articulate that vision to the people around you? Can you get them bought into it? Can you get them excited about it? Can you get them to want to be a part of this, something bigger? And, this is so key as a leader, is that this is one of the things that you can have a great vision, a great plan, but if you can't articulate it, right? One of our dear friends, Brett Jennings, has this little saying, right? Value unarticulated is value unappreciated. If you can't articulate the value of the vision and what the company's trying to accomplish, there's no way people can get behind it. There's no way that they can support the plan if they don't know what the plan is. And we know through the studies, law of diffusion, that it takes multiple touches before people take action. It takes consistency. I think there's a statistic out there, right? What 95% of statistics are made up. So this has got to be true. But there's some science behind it that I believe team members need to hear the message 7 to 9 times, and it might even be more than that now, before they start to believe that that's the direction we're going. And so one of the worst things that we can do as leaders is always shifting direction, always shifting vision, always shifting the course, because you're going to lose trust in your team, because you're not staying consistent. You're not repeating the message enough. You're not getting them to, okay, got it. I'm starting to understand it. We've all been there, right? We've heard the same thing about a dozen times before it clicks. And so you've got to make sure that you can communicate that vision. You got to be able to articulate it. The third piece is really management of trust. How are you earning the trust of those around you, of your team? How do you get them to believe in you? And how we do that is staying consistent to our values. really leading by example. My favorite definition of trust is authenticity, being vulnerable times time. It takes time. And we can accelerate that by living to those values, by living and leading by example. And then the fourth one is management of self. Leading yourself, 100-0. This is the hardest, and it is the most critical thing to do. We all deal with shit. We all have our own shit. And so how do we show up? How are we showing up, and how are we managing? How are we setting that example? Like I said, I don't believe that you can lead or coach another human until you can lead and coach yourself first. Because this is the most transparent time in history. People see through it. People see through your BS. They know if you're telling the truth or not. And it's easy to fact check and get called out. So what are you doing to lead yourself and become the best version of you each and every day? Even if it's just a half a step forward every day, a 0.5%, 1% better every day in all equities in areas of your life. And so that's where I want to spend a little more time, as if, recall on the agenda, is really leading yourself. That's where I want to dive in a little bit more with you all. And, it really comes down to this, right? If you don't like change, you're going to like being irrelevant even less. A couple questions to maybe ponder, to think about. Are you dissatisfied with your results? Do you know they could be better? Are you uncertain what the problem is? If you answered yes to any of those questions, you have to understand you are the problem. There are no business problems. There's only leadership problems. And you have to start with you first. You've got to look in the mirror. It's extreme ownership. We could always do something better. We could always be doing something different. Team member doesn't follow a process. Man, maybe I didn't articulate or train on the process enough, right? Something falls through the cracks. Dang, I could have done a better job making sure that there was a system in place. So you have to look at and take ownership and understand that we are always the problem. Company gets in trouble. What happens? CEO's out. Team starts losing. Head coach out. There are no business problems. There's only leadership problems. And before we can lead others, we have to be able to lead ourselves first. Would you follow you? Would you? Would you honestly think about that for a second? Would you follow you? My daughter is about to graduate high school. She's going to the University of Oklahoma, which is, pretty close to where I live. And, I asked her, I was like, hey, what are you going to do for money? What are you going to do for work? And she said, I don't know. I haven't, I need to start, kind of figuring that out. And I said, well, you can come to work for me. I can put you to work. And she said, I would love that. And so would you want your kids to come work for you? Would your kids want to work for you? Those are some tough questions, but those are the questions that we have to address. Those are the questions that we have to answer. And this is where we see, right? People fail in leadership because they just haven't spent enough time leading themselves. They're too busy being reactive to other things and not putting right things, right order into priority, into the calendar to focus on first. And, one of the main skills that we have to be able to develop to increase our leadership capabilities and capacity is emotional intelligence. Gary Vee's been jumping up and down about this for years, and you can think about it whatever you want. The soft skills are the hard thing. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. And so when you look at and you dive into emotional intelligence, there's 5 core tenets that make up emotional intelligence. And number 1 is self-awareness. Do you know what your strengths? Do you know what your weaknesses? Do you know the opportunities that you have to become better? Do you know the threats around you? Like, do you have a strong self-awareness? Really, do you know what you're the best in the world at? And do you, even more importantly, know what you suck at and what you need to be saying no to? Next is in to get some awareness around that, right? Creating feedback loops. Going through some personality tests. Reaching out to the people that will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Hey, what am I really good at? More importantly, what should I never do? Where do I need to get better? Self-regulation. That's really just being able to control our emotions, and really being able to make sure that you're putting the time in to really regulate that. What are the activities? What are the tools that you're using to develop that? For me, and I posted it on my stories over the weekend, was a snapshot from the Headspace app. Over 28,000, getting close to 29,000 minutes of mindfulness on the Headspace app. And I had a DM asking me what app that was. And I just flat out said, it's a Headspace app and it's changed my life. Prior to, just do the math, right? My average time is 10 minutes, 10 to 11 minutes. Just divide, 10 into, 28,000. That'll tell you how many days of being able to utilize that. And that's the discipline to the things that improve the areas of our life that need to be improved. And prior to that, man, short fuse, took shit way too serious, and it's been calming. It's been calming. It's being able to have the tools to, when you're triggered, to how do you deal with that? How do you deal with those emotions? I posted a video the other day and really talking about, if you want world-class anything, amateur behavior is not going to get there. And to get to world-class anything, we need help. And I believe a superpower is knowing where you need help and not being afraid to reach out for it. And, making the investment, even on this side of things, to increase my awareness and increase my behavior, because I have a desire to be world-class at everything that I can potentially be world-class at. And I hope that you guys have the same drive and the same motivation as well. In motivation, what we have to remember is that nobody can motivate us. People can inspire us. If you go back to my why, it's to inspire and challenge you to think bigger. Motivation comes from within. And there's 5 key pieces around motivation. 3 are better than 2 of them, but they all work. The first one is shame, guilt. Like we just fear, we just not good, but it moves us into motivation. And then the second is, the carrots, right? If you think back, if you've ran sales competitions and, you get effort off of one, and then you run the same contest again, you don't get the same output. You don't get the same effort that you did the first time, because that carrot always has to continue to keep getting bigger. Now, that this third motivation is where it starts to get pretty good. And we have to look at it, making sure that we're having fun. We're having fun at whatever we're doing. And, it's the work hard, play hard. It's, we have fun, whatever it is at your core, but you always have to tap into that. Man, is this fun? And that's just a great decision-making filter. Is this going to be fun? If it's not, I'm not going to do it. The fourth then is, man, do I love it? Damn, do I love this? And, that's a gut check. That's a gut check for you to be able to look in the mirror and like, man, do I love what I'm doing? If not, fix that shit. And then the fifth and final one is, does it feel like play, right? Are we having fun? Do I love it? Does it feel like play? Like I could do this every day, all day, forever. And, that's why I love the perfect day exercise, because it helps you get clear that if you had to live Groundhog Day, what would you do? And that can help find that motivation that we need for sustainability, to where we can run forever. Social skills, being able to, have a high level of awareness around another human. I always like to say, knowing when to just shut up. Remember that we got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And really, what is our question to statement ratio? How are we socially being able to communicate, articulate our value, and listen? And then final, and what I believe is the most important piece of all of this, and that's empathy. Being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And there's about a 4 minute and 28-second video that is the best less than 5-minute video that you can watch that breaks down empathy. And if you just go to YouTube and you search, just type in Cleveland Clinic empathy, it'll pull up for you. And if you've never seen it, you'll be moved emotionally. And that's the point. You'll get it. You'll get empathy at the highest level. Share it with your kids, share it with your team, share it with your family, because it is so, so important. And, we always have to remember it's layers deeper, guys. It's always something else. It's never surface value. And that's just one of the skills that, takeaways, if you can take away from anything that you want to improve your emotional intelligence, is that when you're dealing with another human being, it's always layers deeper. It's always something else. Never take it at surface value. And we just have to be honest with ourselves, right? We know our capabilities, we know our shortcomings, and just truly being honest with ourselves. But one of the most important things is that we have to make sure, from a self-leadership, is that we're living in an alignment to who we are at our core. See, we put out this energy, and it's kind of an intuition. It's like, trust your gut. We've all been in a situation to where we've been around another human being and we're like, man, something's off with that dude. Like, I don't know what it is. I can't quite put my finger on it, but something ain't right. And what that is that it's the energy they're putting out because they're not being congruent to who they are. You ladies listening in, you have a higher level of intuition. Us guys, we have it, but we have to work at it a little bit more. So we're hardwired with this, right? I always tell people when they're making hires, make sure that they look and batteries included. This battery's already installed. This operating system is already installed. You just have to go with it and trust your gut. And that's what's happening, is that you're picking up on somebody's not being congruent to who they are, to their values, their goals, their intent. And it's just a great reminder for us. Are we being living in an alignment to who we are, to our values? Because if we're not, then that means somebody else is going to be able to pick that up, just like we could on the other way around. And, touched on this earlier, just extreme ownership, 100%, responsibility for our actions, for our lives. We're being accountable. No excuses. No excuses. We are not a victim. We're not living in a victim mentality. And, one of the quickest ways to stall your life is to get into a victimhood. When you take ownership, you're moving in a known direction. You're taking ownership for the bumps in the road. And here's the truth, guys. There's going to be a bunch of bumps in the road. There's going to be a bunch of shit that doesn't go right. But we have to remember that it's on us to own it. Because if we don't own it, we can't fix it. And what we reveal, we can heal. Own that shit so you can move faster. That's the point. Own it. 100-0. 2 great reads. There is a book called 100-0. Super short book. Fantastic. Gets right to the principle. And then, of course, Jocko Willnick's book, Extreme Ownership. Those are the 2 that, you've got to have on your reading list. You've got to have it in your library. And it's just great lessons that help us embrace a life of accountability, and not living a life as a victim. And self-leadership is all that matters. If this is broke, good luck. Good luck. So this is where you got to start. If it's broke, this is where you got to fix it. This becomes your priority. And just like Biggie Smalls says, we can't change the world until we change ourselves first. So the number one rule of leadership is lead by example. Example is not the main thing influencing others. It's the only thing. And as leaders, and every one of you listening to this, every one of you here, you are a leader. You lead yourself. You lead a team. You lead within the team. You lead your family. You lead in your community. You are a leader. This is the skills that you have to develop. And remember, you are always on stage. People are watching. I had a great reminder not too long ago. Said, you do remember your kids follow you on social media. And that was one of those gut check moments. I I could have a tendency to put some shit out there that I probably shouldn't. And so it was just a great reminder. It's just a great level of awareness that, on stage, everybody's watching. And just because they're not commenting or liking, they're paying attention. I promise you they are. They're paying attention. And, the new resume is your social media profile. I remember listening to Damon John about 3 or 4 years ago back at Traffic and Conversion. He was one of the keynotes that day. And they were talking about looking for talent and making hires. And he said, yeah, I don't even look at paper resumes anymore. I just go onto their social media accounts and it tells me everything I need to know. And so you have to remember what's online is the new resume, and people are watching, people are paying attention. So here's what I want you guys to focus on. You have to focus on becoming the most disciplined, the most positive, and the most consistent human being that you possibly can. Discipline is just doing the things you don't want to do that you have to do in order to get your life to that next stage. I just remember, coaching and teaching youth golfers that I'd always ask them because I knew who was going to be the most disciplined when they would come and work. And I would just ask them one simple question. I was like, who makes their bed every day? And be only a couple of them that would raise their hand, but I knew those kids were the most disciplined, making their bed. It's just little things like that, right? Do you get up when the alarm goes off, or do you hit snooze? So just little things like that, you can increase that discipline. Positive, right? And I'm guilty of this, overly optimistic at times, but staying positive. There's always a way. We always have a move. There's always a solution. The only time that we don't have a move is when we give up. Okay. There's always a move. We just have to find the angle. We just have to find the opening. We just have to find the connection. We just have to find the relationship. We just have to find the capability. Stay positive. And then just stay consistent. Just stay freaking consistent. I mean, we're episode 184, 185 here with Expert Mentors. That's just consistency. And the more consistent over time you become, it works us to that 10,000 hour rule. Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers, he showcases it. He talks about it. The only way that you get to 10,000 hours at anything is consistency, especially if you want to get there fast. So embrace these, be disciplined, be positive, and stay consistent. And understand, guys, life is hard. Life is hard if you live it the easy way. Okay. And life is easy if you live it the hard way. I've, those that I have the opportunity to coach on a private level, as well as some conversations I've had, some social media posts around this, know kind of what's been going on with my dad. My dad's 74. About 35 days ago, he fell and kind of landed on his knee and ended up breaking his hip. And so it goes in on a Thursday, has rod and pin put in on Friday, and then they try to stabilize him, out over the weekend. And the blood oxygen levels off. Just things are off, heart's off. They're having a hard time, kind of really pinpointing what it is. And see, my dad been a smoker for over 50 years. He's active, right? He's super active, an incredible human being. I mean, shit, my dad's my hero. But he doesn't work out. He loves this chicken fried steak. So not the best of diets. And, doing those things is easy. And it's made life real hard. You see on that Sunday, that Monday, they end up really uncovering that it was heart. It was a heart issue. And, he had 50% blockage, 40% blockage on the other side. And so they go in and they do open heart surgery, 5 bypass. They do a 5 bypass on him. He ends up spending 26 days in the hospital. Now he's in an in-care, rehab facility. And, just yesterday, I mean, he can't even walk yet. 35 days. Can't even walk. Stood for about 5 minutes yesterday. That was the win. And he's got a long road ahead of him. So we can make a choice. We can make a choice to do the hard shit. And I'm a fan of Hal Elrod and his savers, or Frisella's 75 hard. It's hard to do those things, but it makes life a lot easier for us, especially in the future. And goes back to how do we become the best versions of ourselves. And I promise you, if you embrace either the 75 hard concept or Hal's savers, which is silence for prayer, meditation, 28,000 minutes, right? Affirmations, I ams. David Goggins talks about in his book, The Accountability Mirror. So just outside of my office, I got my bathroom right here. Anytime I have a negative thought, right, I put it up there and then I put a powerful affirmation on top of it. Okay. I am a great leader. So, right. So if you have ever said, man, I suck at leadership, get you a little postie, write that out, then write you another postie and put, I am a great leader. Put it on your accountability mirror. That's the affirmations you need to see. V is for visualization. So right outside the bathroom, when you go into the bathroom, you see the accountability mirror. When you walk out is my vision board. And the power, you guys have to understand the power of visualization is because once we see it, it's just a matter of time. It allows our reticular activator to fire. I always joke. It's like, hey, man, I'm thinking about getting this, green Escalade. Guess what you get to see from now on? You start seeing green Escalades. You're like, I never seen a green Escalade in my life. Now I see them everywhere. So that's the power of visualization. E is exercise. We have to stay strong. You have to exercise. You have to focus on lifting heavy shit, and you have to focus on getting cardio. And then you also got to pay attention to the nutrition. You have to focus on that side of your life. It's so important. Reading is the R. Reading. Guys, you've got to be able to pour in and put the right nutrients to our brains. It's no different than your nutrition. You eat like shit, your body's going to feel like shit. You listen to shit, you watch the news, you listen to that stuff, that's what's going to be in your mind. So you've got to read stuff that's going to be useful for your life. And then S is scribing. It's journaling. Get that shit out of your head. We got enough stuff to deal with, let alone carry it all around with us. So find a journaling, a let go, and just writing out process And if you adopt the savers in your life will never be the same again. And understand, right? Your health is your wealth. Um, honestly, I didn't know if my dad had enough fight in him to fight through this. So thankful he has. But I'm telling you that if you don't take this serious, and achieve the things that you're wanting to achieve in your life, it's not going to matter. Make it to the top of the mountain. You're sick. What's the point? And so it's like I talked about, you've got to focus on the nutrition. You've got to focus on the exercise. And here's the thing, you don't have to like it. This is one of my favorite quotes, right? I hated every early morning workout, but I love being a world champion. I hate getting in the water, on the bike, and out running, but I damn sure like being a 3-time Ironman. You don't have to like it, but you got to be able to put in the work. And you've got to make sure you're getting enough sleep. Get one of the apps that lets you know, but focus on this. Like, you got to find what works well for you, but you guys have got to take this seriously. So like for me on the endurance side of things, I know I need more sleep. I cannot perform at my peak. I cannot be the best version of me. And remember, if I'm not the best version of me, how can I be the best version of me for the people that are depending upon me, that are looking up to me and helping them accomplish what they're wanting to accomplish? So make sure sleep is a priority for you guys as well. And no matter what, in every phase, we're going to be confronted with something that scares the shit out of us. And we just have to go in, be as fearless as we can. I'm going through Mel Robbins, the 5-second rule again. And just a great reminder, right? When we don't want to do, when we're scared of something, she gives us the best tool. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move, right? Physically move, take action. And that allows us to push through the things that we don't want to push through. Okay. As we're kind of wrapping up here, and if you've hung in here with me this long, stay, because I want to give you guys this concept, but I also want to give you a tool that's going to help you kind of identify where you're struggling the most in your business. But this is from Frank Shamrock's MMA Studios, that one of his key concepts when you come to him. It's called the plus, the minus, the equal. And what Frank talks about and he teaches on is that when you come in, you have got to find somebody that's above you. Who is your plus? Who is a mentor for you in any area of your life? And I like to keep it real simple, right? The happiness triad of our health, our wealth, and our relationships. Who's your mentor in your health? Who's your mentor in your business? Who's your mentor in your relationships? Who's that plus? Then who's the minus? Who's where you were that you can be a mentor to? Who's that minus? Like, you're taking action in your health. Who's maybe a chapter or 10 steps behind you or 2 steps behind you that you can mentor to help them on their journey? And then the equal. Who are we riding with? Who's my accountability partner? Who's calling me out? Who are you surrounding yourself with that will tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear? I am so freaking grateful that I've got a handful of those people in my life, and I count on them. They're my equals. They could also be a little bit of a mentor. You could also be a little bit of a mentor of them, but find somebody that's gonna call you out. That's going to be there, that's going to run with you, that's going to be that accountability partner. So the plus, the minus, and the equal. And here's the reality. When tough times hit, get a damn coach. Don't try to do it all on your own. I've made this mistake way too many times, and I've just surrendered to the fact that I need help. I mentioned Malcolm Gladwell and the 10,000 hour rule. And one of my other favorite authors, Robert Greene, the 48 Laws of Power. And, he's written, fascinating a lot of other work. He said there is only one thing that will challenge the 10,000 hour rule, and that's coaching. He says a great coach will collapse time. Something that's going to take you 10, 12,000 hours to master. A coach can get you there in 7 or 8. And so when you're lost, when you're confused, when you're maybe feeling really insecure, and you need some clarity and some confidence, and you need to collapse some time, get a coach. So here's my gift to you. Here's the tool, the assessment that we just put together. I'm super excited about this assessment. We actually just rolled it out last week. It's going to take you about 5 minutes to go through. I think there's 22, 23 questions. That's it. And, for it's multiple choice. So, you can kind of gauge where you're at, but it's really to discover what's holding you back from accelerated growth. What's holding your business back? Do you need more clarity? Do you not have enough demand? Do you not have the right strategy? Are you missing systems? Do you need the team? Are you short on capital? Are you aligned where you need to be aligned? Are you doing what you love? Is it fun? What is it? And it's going to help you guys identify and maximize those strengths, optimize the constraints to grow the right way, just depending upon the score. So it's going to give you guys new ways of thinking, navigate challenges, give you some new confidence that you're going in the right direction. Allow us with some efficiency, improve those efficiencies and prioritize what's really important so we can have the greatest of impacts. I'm gonna wrap it right there. I could jump into the story a little bit, but the Ironman story, and that's just a reminder. It's just a reminder of why you have to get a coach. The Ironman journey for me was really around continuing to push and continuing to challenge. And I remember Jesse Itzler from Stage telling me that I felt he was speaking to me. There were several thousand in the audience. However, I felt he was speaking to me. And he said, one of the worst things as human beings that we can do in life is accomplishing something big, and we don't have the next big goal out in front of us. A lot of you guys have been successful, have accomplished big things, especially here at EXP. There's tons of people that are making more money per month than they were making, in a year, 2 years, maybe. And so that allows you to be complacent because you haven't set another big goal that you're in pursuit of. And that happened for me. Finished my first marathon and just kind of sitting stagnant, and was kind of challenged to take it to the next step, and was able to commit. And I get, into the process, and I'm a few months out from my first event, the first Ironman. And these are fulls. So, 2.4 in the water, 112 on the bike, and then a full marathon at the end. And I got lost, and I'm like, what an idiot. Like, you're a coach, you know better. You're stuck, right? You're lost, confused. What do? You get a coach. And it was one of the best decisions that I've made. And I haven't forgot that lesson. And anywhere in my life that I'm feeling lost or confused or insecure, I look for a coach. And so hopefully, today's session was insightful, hopefully maybe a little inspirational, and kind of doubling down on what's important and where you need to give some attention to improve, to become the best version of you. So guys, I appreciate it. Hope you guys are fantastic. Hope well. Take advantage of mygrowthscore.com. Go through that assessment. It's going to be eye-opening. It's going to give you some insight of what's missing and where you need to give your attention, right? Because we're overwhelmed. And when we become overwhelmed, we tend to become paralyzed and we don't take action. And that assessment will allow us to know where we need to give attention to continue to grow. So fantastic. Appreciate you guys. Let's keep rocking, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.